there's no playing around here, but we do find a use for magnetiles. We take a look at the location for the depot. As you can see, the fascia has been removed in both locations. And we locate a new ride for some new wheels. And we cover all this on this episode of the GN in 1970.
70s.
Alright, here it is. The roof has finally been complete. It was a tedious task, but we got it done. And since it was done, I found a new thing to be able to use. Magnetiles. And you ask yourself, what are magnetiles? They're actually a kid's toy. And you can make some magnificent things. Oh boy, was that ever cheesy. What we've got here is the Wayzata depot made out of magnetiles, and you ask yourself, how are they all being held together? Well, magnets, my friend. And not all these magnetiles lasted forever. Some of them have gotten stepped on. And with that said, I don't throw them away, I save the magnets. As you can see them here, these are actually the magnets from the magnetiles. They are a very strong magnet for what they are. You do not want to leave these out. If a little person eats them, they may stick together in their belly, and that's not a good thing. So keep tabs on where your magnets are at, but as you can see, this one here, it holds the roof on. I've got one for each side. Make sure your polarity is facing the right direction. You'll be able to create a cool way to stick the building together. And in addition to the magnets, you might also notice those ribs that I've applied. That's actually just scrap pieces of wood that I've put onto the building to make sure the roof stays completely flat. And now as you can see, the magnets are holding the roof on, and this is just allowing me to be able to take the roof off in the future if I decide to put lights into the building. Alright, here we are in Wayzata on the GN of 1970. As you can see, the fascia has been removed in both locations. We're prepping to get the depot location set up. My dad has cleared the ground foam, the scenery that was in the location where the depot is going to go. As you can see, I have removed the fascia.
You already said that.
This here, we're actually talking about possibly cutting this down a little bit. And the reason being is that we don't want this obstruction, obviously, from a view block. But I am going to probably leave a portion of the actual hill that is here, because it prevents kind of a bump block, so a guy that's standing here doesn't actually encroach on the railroad and knock over a train that's going by because it's so close to the edge. Now what we've got here is just, it was an old bridge. There was going to be a bridge that crossed here, and we decided not to put that in. So with that, this has been turned into a parking lot, and this is kind of, you know, in process as far as how it was going to get finished off. So with that said,
With what said?
with that said,
With what said?
with that said, that said, this may get removed. It would get brought down to probably just above, about the height of a boxcar in that neighborhood. It's probably about a 3-inch rise from rail height about here. So, with that said,
With what said?
probably about a 3-inch rise from rail height about here.
Oh, I'm glad you said that again.
I'm going to make this adjustment. We'll possibly take this out. We're going to extend this out just slightly, and we're going to have obviously build out on the benchwork underneath. We'll build out a cantilevered build out here to support what little extra plywood and homosote we're going to add. So, with that being said,
Enough said!
I
give up.
we're going to get moving on this particular project and get the at least footprint ready, so once the depot's done, it can get dropped into this spot. With that being said, alright, so here we are mocking up the new area. I've obviously removed the old homosote out of this section here and set it up to be able to put in this new section, because I'll screw this down. We're going to cut this along here, and obviously then our new fascia is going to be able to wrap around the exterior. But I just wanted to give you a look at the process that's being had, and if your railroad is complete or finished, don't hesitate to tear back into it. We did like, obviously, a lot of the stuff that was coming along, but this was actually our best solution for the location of the depot. We did consider trying to tuck it into the inside curve here. We set it up and looked at it, and it just ended up being a little bit too tight. And realizing this is not actually aesthetically what Wayzata looks like, we know that we wanted the Wayzata depot in here, so this will be its home.
Why didn't you just go home? That's your home!
Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
So I got this scrap piece of masonite, and I'm ended up priming it just into a dark gray. And as you can see, I've just placed it into the location that it's going to be. This section will be able to completely be lifted out. I can work on the building. I can do anything to it at a later date. Or if the railroad's getting construction and you want to get a building out of the way, it'll just be easy enough to lift out. As you may remember, we're not going to put it in the back porch, and as you can see, they've got those two holes. I do want to be able to use them, so I end up taking this scrap piece of wood and creating a couple of flower boxes. This is just temporarily mocked up, but once I get them refined, I'm going to shoot these into a white paint, and then we'll go through in detail by putting some bushes or some plants in with some flowers. Another little detail, you can see those 3 flower boxes across. They're going to actually go around the bay window. I did notice in a few photos that there was some sort of planters there, and I'm going to end up just putting, again, more flowers. Now, how do you create flowers? Well, pink pen. This is just a paint pen, and I have a little piece of foliage that I've stuck to the top of the planter, and I'm just lightly just hitting the very ends of it to create the illusion that there's flowers on the actual plant. So, not too bad. One might say I'm a regular Cascade green thumb. Oh boy, that was
I don't know if
bad.
I'd go that far.
Does this guy think he's a comedian? Well, and there you go. The planter boxes are installed. If I ever want to put the pavilion in, I'm able to just pull these out and then stick the pavilion in its place. And a place that I ran into a little bit of an issue is actually the actual platform. It was a little bit thicker on the 2 sections that I added in. And with that little bit of a rise, it was noticeable, so I ended up just sanding it down to try to level that out. All right, you SP&Sers, what manufacturer was synonymous to the SP&S? Was it A, EMD, B, Fairbanks Morris, C, General Electric, or D, Elko? If you guessed D, we have a winner! What do we have for him, Johnny? The opportunity to enjoy the rest of this episode. A conversation I hear a lot of modelers having about is track cleaning. What do you use for a track cleaner? It's back and forth, back and forth. How do you keep your track clean? Well, I just heard recently use a block of wood, a rubber band, and a piece of a t-shirt. You'd be able to have a simple track cleaner. This isn't rocket science. There isn't a whole lot to it, and I was really impressed. Use multiple methods. This just happens to be track and rail cleaner. You can use alcohol or anything of that nature. But as you can see, it's a great way to clean your track. There are so many different ways to go about it. You can try them all and see which one works best for you. I'm definitely going to try this method. All right, let's cut to the chase and finish this depot project. What I'm doing here is cutting a piece of sprue for a couple of medallions that are going to flank the word Wayzata. This is just a little detail I figured to add because there were so many details in this kit to begin with that I thought, holy smokes, how am I ever going to get this thing done? But I ended up completing it. Was really happy with the results. HRM Laser Models did a fantastic job designing and laying out this kit. It went together really well. The details, and as you can see here, the finished product was definitely well worth the wait. I couldn't be more pleased with the final results. It's a great iconic building sitting next to a great iconic hutch caboose, number X181. They both go hand in hand, so if you've got yourself an HRM Laser Models kit, whether it's the Wayzata Depot or any other, definitely pull that thing out of the bag and start building it. Let's get it done.
Get her done.
All right, here what we're looking at is a pair of Trident vehicles. I did this tow truck and ambulance a while back. I featured them in Sue the Milwaukee Road. I did add the decals to the door side if I hadn't covered that already. I did add an antenna on these particular vehicles. This one has whip antennas. And one thing I'm going to do here is actually upgrade the wheels. So this process is actually going to be River Point stations. A fellow modeler, Curtis, had actually pointed out to me that there's actually a couple versions. This one here is a white. These are a white wheel that are going to go on the ambulance. They probably should also go on the tow truck, but I did a Dodge with the silver version, and again, River Point stations, and these are the silver wheels or chrome that I'm going to put on this particular one. So it's going to be a fairly simple swap out. I end up using just a pair of rail nips to be able to pull wheels off, and the reason for that is it just helps slide these out. So I'm not cutting anything, I'm just merely lifting the wheel off. It pops off, this one just like so. So these are the wheels that I had done previously. These are Trident wheels. I drill out, and in this case I think I actually just blackened each of the little recesses and created a wheel like that. So we're going to switch over to the River Point station. So there we have it. That's going to be a rear wheel. Now, these type of upgrades aren't necessarily a mandatory thing to do, but it's just a nice little subtle detail to be able to make a vehicle look a little bit more unique and different. As you can see here, the process isn't overly taxing, it's not overly complex, but you end up with a nice little product. I like the wheels on this, it looks pretty sharp. Wouldn't probably be necessarily a traditional tow truck to have chrome wheels, but for a private vendor, I think it ends up being suitable. And for the ambulance, the wheel's a little loose here, but when you set it down, it sits down nice and flat. These are a lot more like the prototype, so I think it ends up being a suiting wheel to be able to swap out. Thanks to Curtis for pointing that out, because I think those wheels that are on there now are a lot better than these, the Trident Originals. Well, now it's time to order up more River Point Station wheels because I got more vehicles to do. And speaking of vehicles to do, the 1970 Custom. Ooh, I think it's going to get some sweet new wheels. Well, what kind of wheels should we put on this? As you can see here, I've got this particular vehicle. As he was leaving work, I thought, boy, those are some boring wheels. Ooh, but these are awfully nice. Thanks to a fellow modeler, Curtis, who had provided these particular Burkina wheels that came off that Corvette, I'm going to drop them onto this bomb, end up snapping it up and making it look a lot nicer. As you can see here, that's a lot better stance, a lot better look, and a lot classier looking vehicle. So as you can see, it doesn't take much to be able to change your vehicles, make them unique, put them on your railroad, and give that little bit extra wow factor. And wow, we finally hit the end of this episode. As we wave goodbye, we bid adieu. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the Gianna 1970.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night.
70s.
We've really enjoyed creating these episodes of the Gianna 1970 as well as Sue the Milwaukee Road. The only way we know if you guys like these is hit that like button. You can hit it, click it, smash it, whatever it is that you're into. You can hit the subscribe button if you want to see on future episodes. Just make sure you ring that bell. And if you want to see more of the Great Northern, you can take a tour of the Gianna 1970, which covers the HO scale Wilmer subdivision. You can also check out other episodes that I've done of Sue the Milwaukee Road that covers the 1985 merger of the Soo Line and Milwaukee Road in HO scale. Thanks a lot for watching.